أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين الغر والميامين ولعنة الدائمة الباقية على أعدائهم أجمعين من يوم عداوتهم إلى يوم الدين أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المبين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dearest brothers and sisters, Alhamdulillah, Allah has given us the opportunity that we all have assembled here, we all have gathered here in a very blessed night, the eve of Friday, the night of Friday, Shab Jum'ah. And we raise our hands and we give the wasila of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad alayhim as-salam. Allahumma bihaqqi Fatimata wa biha wa ba'aliha wa baniha alayhim as-salam. O Allah, we all have gathered here with supplications that we have for this world and the hereafter. We request you to fulfill all of those hajats. Ya Allah, all those marhameen, the names of the marhameen that were being mentioned, especially the shuhada that are being martyred, the believers that are actually working tirelessly for the bulandi of the kalima of Islam. We all remember them, Ya Allah, that you elevate all of their statuses, Ya Allah. And Ya Allah, you give the sabr to the families of the shuhada, to families of the people that are deceased. We request you further, Ya Allah, the injustice spread throughout the world, Ya Allah, to hasten the reappearance of Imam Sahibul Zaman, and to make us among his companions, among his supporters. And Ya Allah, we request you that, Ya Allah, when we leave this world, allow us to leave this world in the state of Iman and faith, inshallah. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Indeed, I did not notice all the names and everything, but the theme of the majalis is very related to the thing that was being mentioned earlier. And that is when you look around the world and see what is happening in the world, you come across the believers that are going through trials, you come across the believers that are going through the persecution, you look towards the believers that are being massacred, that are being killed, that are being mutilated, that are being persecuted in huge numbers. Or, like 100, 200 is a small number. 100, 200 hote to hum kehte chale aaj 300, 400 nahi hui. Sometimes the feeling comes in. But honestly, reflecting upon the tragedy of the believers are going through the collective tragedy. There are certain responsibilities that we have as a community, right? Certain responsibilities, right? And I would like to touch upon the responsibilities. Of course, these are not exclusive responsibilities. There are a lot of responsibilities that we can go through it. And of course, whatever I'm mentioning here, a lot can be elucidated on each and every point that I'm going to mention, right? But, as we say in Arabic, if you cannot achieve completeness, you don't leave everything either. You try to be in the middle ground and you try to extract as best as you can within the given time. So inshallah, we would like to reflect upon some theological questions, not as an answer to those theological questions, but as a reflection, what is my responsibility living here when I look towards the problems, the persecution, the difficulty that the believers are going through. We as believers are one body. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ. Indeed, we are one body. If something happens to one part of the body, it afflicts us too. If somebody is going through a difficult struggle, it's not that I feel myself oblivious of the struggle that he or she is going through, right? We reflect upon the difficulties that the believers are going through. And it's very important that you pause for 1 second. Yeah, we have all the luxuries that we have here. We have all kinds of goodness that Allah has given here, material goodness. And alhamdulillah, we all have gathered here for our spiritual retreat too. But very important to reflect upon the people that had houses, that had everything, and they lost in one go, right? Mushkilat mu'mineen ki zehen mein rahe. And sometimes when we see the difficulties that the believers are going through, especially the shuhada that have given their lives, especially the injured people that are actually going through the struggle that they're going through. Sometimes you reflect upon them, sometimes these questions come into your mind. Where is the justice of Allah Almighty? Right? Khuda ki adalat kahan hai? Things are coming into our mind. When is going to be the advent and the reappearance of the Qa'im of Al-Muhammad? Alayhi salatu wassalam. When is he going to reappear? When is the zuhur of Imam going to happen? And likewise, the believers is the fate of the believers when you look throughout the history, and that's not something that I'm saying or I'm making it up. Go through the book of Al-Kamil by Ibn Athir, go through Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya by Ibn Kathir. Likewise, you all go through the book of Ibn Khaldun and so many other scholars that have written, Abu al-Fida in his book At-Tarikh, and so many. They're unanimous when they're quoting the incident, right? The library of Sheikh Tusi was being, put under the fire. Sheikh al-Mufid, of course, he had to go through the struggles that he had to go through. Sayyid Murtada, whole library. We're talking about the manuscripts. We're not talking about the printed books, right? All of those libraries and all of those things, the Shias were being massacred time and again, time and again, time and again. And if there is a timeline, inshallah, we can have just one majlis over the trial and the tribulations and the difficulties that the Shias of Ahlul Bayt had to go through in old times, right? But that's not something that has happened first time, and that is not going to be the thing that is happening the last time. Things are going to happen. Certain things that are going to come into our mind. What are the answers to those things? I don't know right now. And I know the answers, but that's not the topic that I want to discuss, right? But certain responsibilities that we have. And the first responsibility, let's go through the responsibilities quickly, inshallah, within the given time that we have. And that is pertinent to the spiritual faith that we have, spirituality in itself. A lot of times when you go through the struggles, a lot of questions are going to come upon that are pertinent to your aqidah, that are pertinent to your theology. We all believe that whatever comes from Allah Almighty is nothing but goodness. We all believe that Allah Almighty only looks towards the goodness of the believer. ये हमारी तारीख में भी हमें मिलता है, हमारे अकीदे में भी हमें बताया है. All the zakirin and all the ulama, all the speakers that would come in, they would talk about the central point. Whatever comes from Allah Almighty, only and only goodness follow from the Creator and from Allah Almighty. But when you actually come into the practical world, sometimes you reflect upon it and you'll be thinking for one moment, Khuda kahan achai nazar aa rahi hai? It's all the struggles that we are going through. And that is the reason when you have to revisit your theology. It is the time for us to revisit our spirituality, to strengthen our faith. Yeah, we are going through the struggle, but is there any goodness in the struggle? Surely there is a goodness in the struggle. عسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم وعسى أن تحبوا شيئا وهو شر لكم والله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون. It's very possible that you might despise something, that you might dislike something, but it is good for you. And it's very possible that you might like something, but it is not good for you. Allah knows and you don't know anything. परवरदिगार मुश्किलात से गुजर रहे हैं. वल्लाहु यअलमु व अंतुम ला तअलमून. मुश्किलात हैं. Mushkilat are going to happen. Because mushkilat are the thing that is the scale, that is the measure that is going to distinguish between the truthful and the liar. Allah knows what is good for us. If we have that trust, if we have the submission, maybe I don't know the reason, but if I know it's happening with me, if I'm acting upon each and every instruction that Allah has given to me, even then I would have to go through the struggles. Isme achai hogi, that's why I'm going through that struggle. This faith, or this article of faith is very important. I have talked to the families. I'm not saying I'm a counselor. We, alhamdulillah, we have people that are especially working in this field, right? When we talk to the believers, you come across this saying so many times. Maulana, hum hi kyun test kiye jate hain and everybody is living fine. Wallahi ladheem, main aapse keh raha hu. The question upon the tawheed of Allah Almighty is being asked. We all understand, yeah, alhamdulillah, sab hai, but Parwardigar ne kyun hame hi bas mushkilat ke liye chuna hua hai? This thing comes in, and it's a real question that comes in. I don't know how to answer that. There are many ways to answer that, but I don't know the customized answer for the problem that you're going through. But I only know one rule. Wallahu ya'lamu wa antum la ta'lamun. There surely is a goodness within it. I don't know, but Allah surely knows the goodness within it. The ayah was revealed, as you know. Battle of Uhud, Battle of Badr, Muslims have to go through the struggles, they were examined, they had to go through the catastrophe. So many things happened. They did not want to go and fight in Badr. As you all understand, as you all have come across, Surah Al-Anfal is a testimony to this fact. But yes, Muslims have their own plan, Allah has its own plan. और उसके बाद आप जानते हैं, the ultimate victory that happened, Yawm al-Furqan, as Allah has termed in Surah Al-Anfal, the day in which the goodness and the bad was distinguished completely. And that is the reason when you're doing the amal of the Shabai Qadr, when you're doing the amal, what are some of the surahs that are being recommended to recite? First surah, Surah Al-Ankabut. Surah Al-Ankabut पढ़ें, पहली आयत है, शुरू की आयतें हैं. أحسب الناس أن يتركوا أن يقولوا آمنا وهم لا يفتنون. Do people really think that they will be abandoned, they will be left upon by just the proclamation of the faith when they would say we believe and they would not be tested and they would not be examined? لقد فتنا الذين من قبلهم فَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ صَدَقُوا وَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ الْكَاذِبِينَ. Indeed, the people that came before them, they were tested, they were examined, they were put under the trial, so that Allah can manifest the truthful people and Allah can manifest the liars. भाई सरकार अच्छे दिन चल रहे हों, मौला की नज़र देने में भी मज़ा आ रहा होता है. अच्छे दिन चल रहे हों, परवरदिगार ने बहुत दिया, अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, उस रब का बहुत शुक्र है. जहाँ घर में लड़ाइयाँ हुई, जहाँ जॉब गई, जहाँ थोड़े से मसले मसाले हुए, बच्चे बीमार हुए, ऐ परवरदिगार, वो जो जज़्ब का मामला होता है, when you are complaining to Allah Almighty, नहीं, अगर दावे के जरिए ईमान मिल जाता तो सरकार रसूल के ज़माने में भी सहाबा को टेस्ट नहीं किया जाता. जब भी तो आप देखें ना, there are two classes. One were the truthful and one were the liars that were just proclaiming iman for them. حتى يقول الرسول والذين آمنوا معه متى نصر الله. नबी कह रहा है सरकार, they were being tested so severely, they were examined so thoroughly that they shivered, they trembled, they were shaken, and they said, Mata Nasrullah, the noble messenger, the believers that were with him, they said, Mata Nasrullah, where is the help of Allah Almighty? Ala inna Nasrullahi qareeb. The help of Allah Almighty, the aid of Allah Almighty is surely going to be very near. मुश्किलात है सरकार, हम जरा ज़्यादा सहम जाते हैं. जो बेचारे गुजर रहे होते तो नहीं सहमते, लेकिन हम जैसा थोड़ा ज़्यादा सहम जाता है. और लाजिम बात है, we don't know the ground realities, right? लेकिन जो अहले ईमान है, मिनल मुमिनीन रिजाल खड़े हुए हैं, सदकू मा अहदुल्लाहि अलैहि फमिनहुम मन क़ज़ा नहबह वमिनहुम मन यंतज़िर वमा बद्दलू तब्दीला. Within the believers, there are certain people that are true to the covenant that they made with Allah Almighty. Some were those that embraced martyrdom. Some were those that were still waiting for the ultimate sacrifice that they have to give. And they haven't changed even the slightest. Ali कहा करते थे, फुस्तु व रब्बिल काबा. परेशान वो हों जिनकी जिंदगी यहीं खत्म होने वाली हो, जो अपने मौला के दीदार के लिए पूरी जिंदगी इंतजार कर रहे हों, उनके लिए यही मौत नेमत बन जाती है. मैं ऐसे कह रहा हूं जैसे मैं भी बिल्कुल तैयार बैठा हुआ हूं. अभी मौत आएगी तो सबसे पहले शायद मैं ही परेशान नजर आऊंगा, लेकिन मैं तो उनकी बात कर रहा हूं जो यकीन में बहुत आगे हैं, जिन्हें वाकई अपने मौला की ज़ियारत बड़ी अजीज है. शहीद सिब्ते जाफर के भी अल्फाज ज़हन में रखिएगा. First thing. Second thing, now coming to the practical etiquettes. Practical etiquettes, right? We talk about the spiritual path, the theological part. Not the theology in its term, more like a spiritual path, right? Theology, inshallah, we can come into it in future majalises. Some practical things that we can do. First thing is, use less WhatsApp. كفى بالمرء كذبا أن يحدث كل ما سمع. It is sufficient for a believer, it is sufficient for a person to be called or considered as a liar when he communicates, when he forwards, when he quotes whatever he hears. जो मैसेज आ रहा है आप चाहते हैं कि सबसे पहले मैं ग्रुप में पहुंचा दूं बस. या अय्युहल्लज़ीना आमनू इन जाअकुम फासिकुन बिनबइन फतबय्यनु अन तुसीबु कौमन बिजहालतिन فأصبحتم على ما فعلتم نادمين. O believers, whenever an ungodly person, whenever a sinful person, whenever an immoral person brings a piece of information, brings a piece of news to you, verify the authenticity of the thing that he's bringing in. Verify the authenticity. यानी बता ये दिया गया है, चीज को आगे फॉरवर्ड नहीं करना है जब तक कि यकीन ना हो कि जिसको फॉरवर्ड किया जा रहा है वाकयातन वो सच्ची बात है. कितने लोगों के रोजे बातिल हो जाते हैं. मैं नहीं कहता वो रोजे बातिल नहीं होते, कभी कभार फिक्ही हवाले से नहीं कह रहा, बेचारे नहीं जानते, वो समझ रहे होते मौला का कॉल है. लेकिन जो भी अब देखें फैशन पेजेस, पाकिस्तान के फैशन पेजेस वगैरह देख लें, और भी हर चीज हजरत अली रजी अल्लाह ने फरमाया, जो भी उनके दिल की बात होती है उस पर मौला का नाम लगा दिया जाता है. There is no quotation, हवाले की तो बात ही नहीं होती ना. There is no हवाले, यानी आप कम से कम चलें नहजुल बलागा, there is no नहजुल बलागा, there is no गुरुरुल हिकम, there is no this book or that book, there is no काफी मल्ला हज़रुल फ़क़ी अमाली. Leave those books, right? At least there must be some Sahih Muslim, Sahih Bukhari or something, right? Has sayings of Amir al-Mu'mineen too. Kallimun nas ala qadri uqulihim, bada mashhur maruf call. It's in Bukhari. It's there in the Shia books too, al-Kafi, right? There are some unanimous hadiths when you're talking to the people, talk to them based on the intellect that Allah has given to them, right? Very important, my dear brothers and sisters. You do not become a tool for the enemy. You do not become a tool. And हम लोग ऐसे हैं कि हमें कोई जॉब पे रखे या ना रखे, हम खुद ही उसका काम करना शुरू कर देते हैं. Sometimes, you know, we are mashallah, you know, cheap labor with its all meaning, right? We want to forward, okay, forward. And that's why I believe you, कभी कभी important messages चले जाते हैं, कोई अगर भेज भी रहा होता है voice message है वो, क्योंकि इतने forwarded message भेजते हैं कि मैं बंदा सोचता है कि आज भी कोई आया हुआ होगा forward, 10 15 20 25 जमा हो जाते हैं. But what I mean to say, you do not have to be the news. Alhamdulillah, every believer has a smartphone in their hand. They can go and they verify the news themselves. But do not, because sometimes it's going to bring lower morale when you are just forwarding whatever the enemy propaganda is, whatever the propaganda is from this person or that person. Everybody has its own interest when they are writing a news or when they have the piece of information. It's very difficult to be neutral in this world, right? So it's very important for us, my dear brothers and sisters. We do not. That's a practical etiquette. And I trust you and I believe, and I have this belief, inshallah, once we start following this, a lot of things are going to get easier. You know, sometimes if you, गलती से आपने हिम्मत करके पूछ लिया, what is the source of the information, my dear brother? You know, we don't have information. It was forwarded from this WhatsApp group, or that WhatsApp group, and this is our whole information. And unfortunately, then you know the effects of the fake news, right? Very important. We're living in a very difficult time. It's important to keep the morale of the believers very high. Coming to the third step, coming to the third responsibility. Keep the morale and keep the confidence of the believers very high. शहादत करबला में हुई थी, 11 इमामों की शहादतें हुई हैं, हमारे 12वें की भी शहादती है. लैस मिन्ना इल्ला शहीदुन. This is from Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wassalam. Sheikh Sudouk has quoted, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Laysa minna illa shaheed. No exceptions. Everybody from the blessed family of the Prophet, they are not going to leave this world, but they would be martyred. Shaheed honge. Laysa minna illa shaheedun. Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wasalam, Imam Rada alayhi salatu wasalam is quoting in Uyun al-Akhbar, right? What is important here? Shahadat hai, but keep the hopes of the believers high. Ali ibn Abi Talib. I don't want to go into a lot of history. Sometimes it's controversial. It's okay. But go to Al-Kafi, go to Kishi, Ikhtiyar Ma'arifatul Rijal by Sheikh Tusi, and actual book is written by Kishi, and so many other books. ارتد الناس بعد وفاة رسول الله إلا ثلاثة. Most of the people, majority of the people, they left the path of the wilayah after passing of the Prophet, after the demise of the Prophet. Except 3 exceptions. Salman, Budhar, or Miqdad. There is a 4th exception to this, Ammar. And then there are people that came afterwards. There are 12 exceptions. Now, why I'm saying different exception? Initially there were 3, then it happened to 4, then back to 12. Within 12 you have Ammar. Within 12 you have Khalid bin Sa'id bin As. हमें मसला शजरों से नहीं है इतना, हमें मसला शख्सियात से होता है. उमूवी शख्सियत है लेकिन अली का दिफा करने वाला है. Khalid bin Sa'id bin As. Likewise, you have Abu Ayyub, you have so many others. That's not the topic. 12 people came in the masjid, right in the center of the masjid. Defended the wilayah for Ali ibn Abi Talib. Defended the wilayah. Looked at the tyrant of the time, eye to eye. And spoke the truth. नाराज होने वाले नाराज हो, खुश होने वाले खुश हो. लौमतुल लाइम की परवाह ही नहीं है. Why? The confidence was there. Morale high रखना है. ولا تهنوا ولا تحزنوا وأنتم الأعلون إن كنتم مؤمنين. Do not grieve. मौलाना इतने हो गए. भाई जिनके हो रहे हैं वो तो इतना परेशान नहीं हो रहे, आप ज्यादा परेशान हो गए. ولا تهنوا ولا تحزنوا. Do not grieve. Do not fall into despair. Do not lose hope from Allah Almighty. And indeed, you will be superior if you are the righteous and true believer. दूसरी रिवायत आपकी खिदमत में पेश करो, जरा हिम्मत से पेश करो. आले मोहम्मद की रिवायत क्या कहते हैं? अल-मुअमिनुल क़वी खैरुन व अहब्बा इला अल्लाह मिन अल-मुअमिन अज़-ज़ईफ़. कि समझना हो, there are 2 kinds of believers. One are the stronger believers, and the other one are the weaker believers. The stronger believers are more beloved to Allah Almighty, a greater in rank, a greater in the fadila compared to a weaker believer. And there is goodness in both of them. Hadith का आखिरी जुमला है. अल्लाह ताला ने खैर दोनों में रखी हुई है. लेकिन किसमें ज़्यादा खैर है? कवी मोमिन में. देने वाले बनो, लेने वाले ना बनो. जब भी तो कहा जाता अल-मुअमिनुल क़वी. Somebody who is robust, somebody who is strong, somebody Allah has given higher spiritual power and higher material power when they're able to resist oppression. And that is the reason we have to keep our hopes high. खुद अगर कवि नहीं बन सकते तो जो कवि हैं उनके बारे में लोगों को इतना उतना ना करें. अल-मुअमिनुल क़वी. मोमिन हो लेकिन मजबूत वाला हो, बेहतर है. अल्लाह ताला ने खैर दोनों में रखी है. खैर रखा ही ईमान में है. और ऐसा क्यों ना हो, क्योंकि कुल्ले खैर को अली इब्न अबी तालिब कहा जाता है. ऐसा ही है. ठीक है. अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद. I'm mindful of the timing too, inshallah. We'll be done in a few minutes. The 4th responsibilities, my dear brothers and sisters, is to remember the believers in prayers. Least we can do. कम से कम ये कर सकते हैं. कुल मा यअबअु बिकुम रब्बी लौला दुआउकुम. O Prophet, my dearest messenger, communicated to the believers, communicated to the people in general. If it would not for your supplications, Allah would not have taken care of you. आपकी दुआ बहुत अहम है. And you do not pray for yourself unless or until you pray for the believers. You pray for the mazlumeen. You pray for the people that are going through the difficulties after difficulties. Very, very beloved. Like, आप जानते हैं, बहुत आपकी भी स्टोरी होगी, मेरे पास भी स्टोरीज हैं. लेकिन रब्बे कायनात ने वाक़अतन जो बेचारे मोमिनीन मुश्किलात से गुजर रहे हैं, least we can do, least is what? You pray for them before then you pray for yourself. Least. Al-jar thumma dar. The haqq of the believer is first upon you, then your own haqq. The haqq of the Mazlumin in Lebanon, the haqq of the Mazlumin in Iran, the haqq of the Mazlumin in Gaza and other places. Their haqq is over you first and then your own haqq. Pray for them. Pray for the difficulties that they're going through. You know, हम लोग मोमिनीन में माशाल्लाह एक अच्छी बात यह है, जहाँ जाते हैं माशाल्लाह अच्छे खासे इमाम बारगाह आबाद कर लेते हैं. ऐसे ही है, कुछ ज़रूरत के तहत होते हैं, कुछ आप समझ गए, समझ रहे. तो हमारी खासियत यह है कि शैतान हम पर ही एक्स्ट्रा टाइम लगाता है. जब एक्स्ट्रा टाइम लगाता है तो लड़ते भी हम ही माशाल्लाह इधर उधर थोड़े ज़्यादा ही हैं. ऐसा होना नहीं चाहिए. That should not be the case. Innamal mu'minuna ikhwa, as we all remember. But still, keep all the differences aside. These national boundaries do not mean anything when the Qaim is going to reappear. We all will be one body under the flag, under the banner, under the leadership of the Qaim of Al-Muhammad. Isn't it? Ammar ibn Yasir, Banu Makhzoom, Abu Dhar, Banu Ghaffar, Salman from Persia, Khalid bin Sa'id bin Asf, Banu Umayyah, Abu Ayyub al-Ansari, जो सबको एक जगह जमा कर देते हैं वो मोहम्मद और आले मोहम्मद अलैहिस्सलाम है. अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मोहम्मद इब्न अबी बकर, बनु तैम, हाशिम अल-मिरकाल, बनु ज़ुहरा. डिफरेंट ट्राइब्स, आपस में शक्ल देखना गवारा नहीं है, लेकिन जब अली से वाबस्ता हो गए तो जान छड़क रहे होते हैं. Our identity is what? وَسَمَّاكُمُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. Allah has termed us what? Muslim. And within Muslim, Ya Ali, anta wa shi'atuka humul faizun. You and your Shi'as, inshallah, they are going to be the victorious ones, inshallah, on the day of judgment. In this dunya, inshallah. Right? For us, that matters the most. And then we come to the fifth point, inshallah. And that is, ये पॉइंट बड़ा ख़तरनाक है, लेकिन मैं हिम्मत करके आपकी खिदमत पेश कर लेता हूँ. जज्बात अपनी जगह. But we have to refer to the experts. We have to refer to our maraja. We have to refer towards the community leaders here to devise a better approach of how to go through these things. परवरदिगार ने आपको उलमा दिए हैं, नेमत है, इनकी कदर कीजिए. उलमा दिए हैं आपको. मुझ जैसा बंदा तो आपका खून गरमा के चला जाएगा, बता रहा हूं मैं आपको. फिर मैं ही वहीं नहीं आऊंगा जहां बुलाया होगा आपको. भाई यही है ना, तरावी पे सबको लगा दिया, खुद कभी नहीं पढ़ी. ऐसा ही हुआ. जाके आप खुद पढ़ लीजिए किताबों को. निअमतुल बिदअतु, क्या खूबसूरत बिदअत है. सबको लगा दिया, खुद साइड से निकल गए. ऐसे ही कभी नहीं पढ़ी उन्होंने मस्जिद में आके. देखिएगा आप, कभी किसी की किताब भी पढ़ लीजिए. देखिए, मैं खून पे तो गरमा सकता हूँ, लेकिन खून नहीं गरमाना सरकार. सिर्फ you have to give the whole solution, and that are going to be the community leaders, the ulama, the numainde of the maraja. You might have difference of approach. None of us are equal. But let me be not naive that I start talking about the policy that the Shias of the Canada need to have, the Shias of the Toronto need to have. ये उनके लिए छोड़ दीजिए जिन्होंने अपनी ज़िंदगी लगाई है अहले ईमान की खिदमत में. मुझ जैसे बंदे सिर्फ वही बात कर सकता है जो यूनानिमस हो, बस. No controversial thing. Maulana should send an email, why are they not doing this? Leave it upon them. Go and talk to the other channels that are the right channels. Social media is not going to do any justice, my dear brothers and sisters. सिर्फ फितना फैलेगा. मैं अपने 15-20 साल के तजुर्बे से बता रहा हूँ, एक बंदा भी तब्दील नहीं हुआ. लड़ाई होती रही, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स होते रहे. जब तब्दील होना होता है तो आप पर्सनली जाके बात करते हो, वन ऑन वन एहतराम से बात करते हो, तो लोग में तब्दीली आ जाती है. जिसने नसीहत की लोगों के सामने, उसने नसीहत नहीं की, उसने जलील किया है। 10 लोग बैठे हुए, मैंने किसी को गलती करते हुए देखा, एंड आई केम इन, सुपर मुजाहिद पर्सन, यू डिड रॉन्ग। अगर उसने प्राइवेट में गलती की थी, आपने पब्लिक में बता के उसकी गीबत भी की है और मोमिन की तौहीन भी की है। इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। अम्मल अवाम, फॉर नॉर्मल पीपल, इमाम हसन अल अस्करी अलैहि सलातु वस्सलाम, अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अलैहि, for them is what? Following the fuqaha, the maraji', the ulama. Amma hawadithul waqi'a, all the new things that are going to come in. Al-ihtijaj, Shaykh Tabrasi, farja'u ila ruwati hadithina. बस मैं इतनी बात करके जाऊंगा, बात को आगे बढ़ाते हैं। Sixth is, always be a supporter of the mazloom. Because I'm coming from a background, अब ये मैं बात भी कहता हूँ तो कोई और शख्सियत जहन में आ जाती है, कहते हैं मजलूमों का साथी होना चाहिए। सही है, मजलूम का साथी हो और जालिम के खिलाफ, but in a way that is effective, at least through our conduct and so many other things that can be said upon it. But that is something which is given, which is within the DNA of a Shia. If this is not there within the DNA of a Shia, he's not a Shia, right? आखिरी बात, बस ये बात ज़रूरी है ताकि मैं चाह रहा हूँ, because I can inshallah conclude the topic. The final thing and the seventh thing is what? Have patience. It's not something, you know, when we say strategic, what do you mean strategic? हर कोई इस्तेमाल तो लफ्ज़ करो तो strategic. What do you mean strategic? There's something that's called tactical. There's something that's called strategic. Tactical management is different than strategic management. Tactical plans are different than strategic plans. Tactical plans are only for a few months, only for a few weeks. There's a construction going upon in Ontario. Usko to strategic construction कहनी चाहिए. But I'm telling you, in general, right? There's a tactical plan. Take this road, take that road, take this road, take that road, right? But what is strategic plan? Strategic plan, it takes 15 years, it takes 20 years, it takes a generation. It takes generation to get the result. Innal anata min Allahi wal ujlata min ash-shaytan. Nabi ki hadith hai. Being haste, being rushing is coming from shaitan. And having the sabr, having the patience, having the deliberation, having the composure, that is from Allah Almighty. You don't get result the next second. Maulana, kya ho raha hai? Kaise ho raha hai? Wait and watch. Things are going to change. And ultimately, the victory is going to be for the believers. يَمْلَأُ الْأَرْضَ كِسْتًا وَعَدْلًا كَمَا مُلِئَ الظُّلْمَ وَجَوْرًا. Indeed, the Qaim is going to reappear. He's going to fill this earth with equity and with justice, the way it's filled with injustice and oppression. होगा मुश्किलात हैं, लेकिन परवरदिगार भी तो कह रहा है नस्रुल्लाह करीब. It's very, very near. We cannot fathom it, but that Nasrullah is who? The Qaim of Muhammad alayhi salatu. We are not responsible for the results. We are responsible for the efforts. अल्लाह ताला आपको ये नहीं पूछेगा आपने कितना किया, वो चेंज क्यों नहीं आया, ये क्यों हुआ वो. The ultimate victory is what? You act upon what Allah has commanded you to do so. Who is going to bring the real change? मुसब्बिबुल असबाब, आप अपने आप को नहीं बनाए, वो रब की जात है. समझ रहे? तो बस इंशाल्लाह we keep these things in our mind. Little bit things that we can do inshallah for the believers that are going through very terrible time materialistically, but as if we have said something, what? Everything that comes from Allah Almighty, even if it means a trial, it is a blessing of Allah Almighty. एक मिसाल आपकी खिदमत में अर्ज कर दूं. ज़हरा किताब सुलैम को उठाइएगा, किताब अल-इहतिजाज और सारी किताब, आप हत्ता इब्न कुतैबा की किताब अल-इमामा व सियासा को उठाइए. ज़हरा गई हैं, सवारी पे सवार हुई हैं, हसनैन साथ साथ चल रहे हैं. सरकार 3 रातें गई हैं, 40 लोगों ने वादा किया आने का. 40 में से कितने आ गए? 40 लोगों का आता सर मुंडा के आना, 40 लोग भी होते तो अली कयाम करते, 3 आए 4 आए, रिवायतों का इख्तिलाफ, मुश्किलात है ना, आले मोहम्मद मुश्किलात से गुजरे, लेकिन क्या अली ने हार मान ली? अस्तगफिरुल्लाह, मैं तो समझाने के लिए कह रहा हूँ, वरना फतयाबी है तो सिर्फ और सिर्फ अहले ईमान के लिए है। वही लोग थे 25 साल बाद अली के दरवाजे पर इस तरीके से आ रहे थे कि मौला कहते थे कि इस तरीके से मेरे घर पर आए हैं, मेरे दरवाजे पे आए हैं, कि गोया हसन हुसनैन कुचल रहे थे और लोग अपनी बयाअत देने के वास्ते आ रहे थे अली अल मुर्तज़ा के घर पर, उनके दरवाजे पर। Things take time, 25 years, 25 साल में एक जनरेशन चेंज हो जाती है, but it takes some time. The change is small, the change is not going to happen the next second, but it's going to take time. और जब मजलूमियत का जिक्र है तो अभी नाम ज़हरा आया है। आप सोचिएगा कि क्या मजलूमियत का आलम है कि जब गिरिया भी कर रही हैं तो मदीने वाले आके कह रहे हैं अली और मुर्तज़ा से, ए अली आप इनसे कह दीजिए या तो सुबह गिरिया किया कीजिए या रात में गिरिया किया कीजिए, एक वक्त सेलेक्ट कर लें, सुबह गिरिया कर रही होती हैं, रात में गिरिया कर रही होती हैं, हमारा चैन, हमारा सुकून, हमारे बच्चे परेशान हो जाते हैं। अज़ादारों, वहीं पर पहले इमाम बारगी की तामीर की जाती है, पहले अज़ाखानी की तामीर की जाती है, जिसे बैतुल हुज़्न कहा जाता था। बस अज़ादारों, सुबह सुबह जाती थी ज़हरा, पढ़ने वाले पढ़ते हैं, हसनैन का हाथ अपने हाथों में लेती थीं, अपनी छोटी बच्चियों को साथ लेके जाती थीं, पूरे दिन मातम किया करती थी, पूरे दिन गिरिया किया करती थी, रात में वापस आ जाया करती थी। लेकिन अज़ादारों, बस आप ये भी तो सोचिएगा मरसिए में क्या पढ़ा करती थी, सुब्बत अलैया मसाइबुन लौ अन्नहा सुब्बत अलल अय्याब सिरना लयालिहा। अब बाबा जान, मुझ पर इतनी तकलीफें आई हैं, अगर रोशन दिनों पर नाजिल होती तो सियाह रातों में तब्दील हो जाते। शायद उस मुसीबत को भी बाबा जान की खिदमत में नकल करती हो, जब दरो दीवार के बीच में आई है फिर बाबा को याद करती है, वाह अबता वाह रसूल अल्लाह, हाय रे मेरे बाबा, हाँ कज़ा यफ़अलू बिहबीबतिक, आपकी प्यारी के साथ आपकी उम्मत ने क्या सलूक किया है। या फिज़्ज़ा इलैया फ़ख़ुज़ूनी, ए फिज़्ज़ा जरा मेरी तरफ दौड़ कर आइए, मेरी खबर तो लीजिए, मेरा मुहसिन शहीद हो गए। अला लअनतुल्लाह अला कौमिज़ ज़ालिमीन। परवरदिगार, हमारी इस कलील को अपनी बारगाह में कबूल फरमा, मेरे मालिक नासों को रुमाल ज़हरा का हिस्सा बना। परवरदिगार, मुमनीन जहाँ, मज़लूमीन जहाँ को परवरदिगार इस्तिक़ामत और कामयाबी नसीब फरमा। परवरदिगार, हम सब का खात्मा बिल ईमान व खात्मा बिल खैर फरमा। सल्लल्लाहु अला मुहम्मद व आलिहि त्तय्यबीन अत्ताहिरीन।